The murder of Sarah Turner. It all began in the quiet suburbs of Leeds, England, where life seemed ordinary to anyone passing by the rows of semi-detached homes. On the outside, the Turner household appeared idyllic. Daniel and Sarah Turner had been married for 10 years, raising 2 young children in a tidy home with a small garden. Neighbors waved when they passed and often commented on how happy the family seemed. But appearances, as investigators would later discover, were deceptive. Sarah, 34, was a diligent mother and a caring wife, known for her warmth and laughter. Daniel, 36, worked in finance, a quiet man who often appeared reserved but charming when he wanted to be. To the outside world, they were the perfect family. But inside the walls of their home, tension had been building for months, quietly at first, then with increasing frequency. Friends would later describe subtle signs of control and intimidation that Sarah endured. Daniel had begun to isolate her from friends and family, controlling her social life and financial independence. Arguments, once rare, had grown more frequent and heated. Sarah confided in a few close friends that she felt trapped, but struggled to articulate the fear she was experiencing. The night of Sarah's death seemed ordinary. Daniel had returned home from work, greeted his children, and prepared dinner. Sarah was in the kitchen, finishing some paperwork. They exchanged polite conversation, but the atmosphere was strained. Daniel later reported to police that Sarah had suddenly collapsed, seemingly without cause. But when the authorities arrived, the scene raised immediate suspicion. Sarah was lying on the kitchen floor, lifeless, with no visible injuries. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing appeared stolen. It was an unusual case. Natural causes seemed unlikely for someone so healthy, but the absence of evidence of a struggle made the situation puzzling. Detective Inspector Helen Morris, assigned to the case, noticed subtle inconsistencies in Daniel's story. He remained calm, almost too calm, describing the events with unnerving detachment. Officers took note of a half-filled mug on the counter, which forensic analysis later revealed contained traces of a potent sedative, one Sarah had never been prescribed. As the investigation deepened, neighbors were interviewed. Many recalled hearing arguments through the walls, though none had suspected the situation would escalate to murder. Some described late-night shouting or Daniel's insistence on controlling Sarah's movements. A pattern of coercion and intimidation became clear. Phone records provided further evidence. Daniel had searched the internet days before the incident for terms like, "How long does poison take to kill?" and "What substances are undetectable in blood tests?" These searches were damning, establishing premeditation. CCTV footage from a nearby pharmacy confirmed Daniel purchased the sedative weeks earlier. The detective team also collected digital evidence showing he had planned the crime meticulously. He ensured no one would be present, carefully orchestrated Sarah's routine, and administered the substance in a manner that would appear accidental at first glance. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Daniel's composure began to crumble during questioning. Hours turned into days as investigators pieced together the full timeline. It became clear that this was not a spur-of-the-moment act, but a deliberate and coldly calculated murder. Daniel admitted to planning Sarah's death to gain full control of their home and finances, hoping the absence of his wife would go unnoticed for weeks. The trial drew considerable attention. The courtroom was packed, and the atmosphere was tense. Testimonies from friends, family, and neighbors painted a stark picture of a man who had manipulated and isolated his wife over many months. Forensic experts testified about the chemical used, how it was administered, and the timeline of Sarah's final moments. Throughout the trial, Daniel remained largely silent, occasionally giving short, emotionless responses. The prosecution argued that his calm demeanor masked a long-standing pattern of coercive control and premeditation. They highlighted the calculated nature of the crime, the digital footprint of his planning, and the impact on the Turner children, who would lose their mother to an act of betrayal by the person they were supposed to trust most. After days of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict: guilty of murder. Daniel Turner was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years before eligibility for parole. The judge's statement emphasized the premeditated nature of the crime and the profound betrayal of trust within the family. Sarah's friends and relatives were left to grapple with the void her death created. Tributes poured in online and in the community, remembering her warmth, kindness, and strength. Her death became a grim reminder of how domestic abuse and coercive control can escalate, often hidden from the outside world. In the end, the Turner case served as a chilling example. Sometimes the most dangerous threats come not from strangers, but from those closest to us. Behind closed doors, appearances can be deceiving, and a life that seemed secure can be shattered in the most unimaginable way.